Burbling Beethoven initiates another missions. This is vk3sl. Welcome to, what officially is the last of the lockdown programs, I suppose, but we'll keep things burbling away for a bit longer, at least until next Monday. Being a long weekend, can't do much else. Homebound, and this is the thing to do at this time of the day. I'm vk3sl, and we're testing here on 160 and also on UHF, and many thanks to Mr. VCL for the SIG report there. It's good to know that we're still getting out, but we do have a bit of humbuckles in the system, so I might try some relocation. I haven't put in the distribution splitter yet, and that's something I might try and do this weekend, but it's going to be quite a job, and I'll have to pull a whole lot of stuff out and see if we can get a comprehensive splitting system. And its isolation is the problem here, because RF and AF are all in close confines, so hum is bound to occur, and it's a minor miracle that we don't have more of it, to be honest. But always looking for ways forward, and we'll keep experimenting until we find the ideal. Anyhow, I'm sort of relieved, to be honest. It's the end of that intense period of working to a small screen, and I look forward to seeing people for real back in the classroom coalface as from tomorrow. It's going to be a relief. Well, we'll do what we usually do, and that is sample records from the collection here, as well as a few other smatterings. And we'll fade out Mr. B. We'll give him the big fade, and we'll find something from the 20s. Yay! Well, it's not quite. It's actually 1931, but it's a recording of Harry Roy, and I usually associate Harry Roy with his ragamuffins, but this is a rare Oriole 78 put up by Jonathan Holmes, and it's a recording of Harry Roy and his Bat Club boys from the Bat Club the Bat Club in London in 1931. I would love to have gone to the Bat Club in 1931. I went to the 100 Club when I was studying there. That was amazing. They had been there forever and had all sorts of great jazz luminaries come in and out. That was a fabulous venue in Oxford Street. But the Bat Club, I don't know much about the Bat Club in London. Sounds like an interesting dive. Anyhow, let's have a listen to Harry Roy, and here's a Bat Club Boys. I'm vk3sl, and we're testing.
What did the old tiger, oh tiger?
heard Harry Roy and his Bat Club Boys from the Bat Club in London, recording made in 1931. Recent upload from Mr. Holmes. I'm vk3sl and we're testing, and yeah, that's what we do in these corona times and other times as well. Yeah, we just fill in the gap and play 78s and inhabit the space. It's serendipitous, it's just a meander through the woods, finding records and spinning them here. And I like all sorts of exotic, weird and wonderful material from the early days. I sort of more in touch with the pre-war period. I don't know much about post-war music. I was one of those nerdy kids who either played classical music or I just played lots of 78s when I was young. Yeah, it was a sort of rather pathological situation, but you know, we all live and learn and go through our own journeys, and this is where I'm at because I've got all these records and I don't know what to do with them. So playing them on the wireless is one way forward, and playing original source material has a certain intrigue about it. It means I can use all this vintage equipment and pretend I'm doing something more than what I am. There we go. There's my grand non-justification for not entertaining you on 160 and on UHF. Well, on the turntablium I found a Victor. I pulled out another shelf and I found a whole lot of really rare, weird and wonderful labels. Records that I'd have no clue as to their origins, but amongst them was a vintage Japanese disc. Now, I can't recall if it was just misfiled and I did play it earlier on when I played a lot of early Japanese records or not, but they're so evocative. They are a virtual time machine. They take you back to a time and place, and I can only imagine this what Japan was like in the 1930s, and I just, somehow, this record really does it for me. So, let's tune in. This is vk3sl, and we're testing. Oh, yes, we haven't got the thing switched in, but we do now, and I think we are ready to go. Music from Japan, a Nippon record from the 1930s. And yeah, that one just fell off the shelf. I can't tell you anything about the singer or anything about the record. I'll hold it up to the mic and read what is in English. I'll have to wrestle this one off the turntable. It's a bit stuck. There we go. Some of these records have small holes. No, I can't read a word. Not one word. It just says Victor and then a whole lot of words in Japan. They had small labels, these Japanese records. I'm in the mood. It's got a fair bit of surface noise, but it's okay. I reckon we'll hear the other side. What do you think, folks? More Japanese wonderment? I think so. I'm travelling. Since we can't really travel, we'll travel this way. Back to the 1930s. This is vk3sl testing.
東京さよならまたの日はいつもい可愛い瞳よ甘い唇みんなさよなら思い出の数々よ泣いて涙のことばかり明日はどうしてどんな気持ちで東京の空を見る夢の東京さよなら会うは別れとたが言うたあの夢もこの夢もみんなさよなら懐かしの花の道二人歌った愛の歌せめて今宵は一人歌おうか夜霧に濡れて夜の東京さよなら今宵涙で見るあたり夢の単語よ恋のブルース別れは悲しいジャズの音もなく歌詞や耳に容疑者のすすり泣き読んでみようか愛しい面影忘れなぐさよ
I wonder what he was singing about. Maybe he was talking about how her kimono was slightly offset to the tea ceremony ritual, and there was a particular synergy between the two activities. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Well, there we go. Some Japanese fare from a long way back, and as I said, I think that's a great way to transport oneself to another time and place is to listen to the original material. And for me, there's something special about having the shellac on the table and sort of experiencing things in an authentic way. Tone tests on 160 and UHF. I'm vk3sl and quietly relieved, although the internet has been very sporadic. yesterday I think we had 15 dropouts, and I had about 4 or 5 long chats to the NBN people and to the relevant authorities at Aussie Broadband. It was ridiculous, and they've said that we'll have an outage this afternoon for major infrastructure work. Now, it's supposed to occur between midday and 6 o'clock. Hasn't happened yet, so we may get a dropout at some point for those not listening on the stream. Streaming service, of course, is our premium service. And that has to be said. It's there, but I don't think that many people listen on the stream. But it's okay. It's logged. It's all there. So these records are sort of out there in one way or another. And I'm in here in one way or another doing what I do. Well, another record, another intercontinental journey. This time to France, and I was digging through the pile, and we found a record of Lucienne Boyer, who was a French dessous and singer. She was a monologuist, apparently, theatrical person, and she did make a few cabaret recordings, and this sounded particularly vibrant, and it's sort of out there and evocative and all of that, so I reckon we'll have a listen to Miss Boyer sing her stuff. What's the name of the record? I can't remember. Oh yes, here it is. It's over here. It is Dans les Fumées. Let's hear what she can sing.
Le souvenir de mon amant, puis qu'après m'avoir tant aimé, il m'a si lâchement quitté. Il alluma ta cigarette et me dit d'un air dédaigneux, ne fais donc pas ainsi la bête, à prendre la vie au sérieux. Et m'envoyant une poupée de sa fumée sans s'émouvoir, il partit vers sa destinée. Sans pitié pour mon désespoir. Ce matin, un de mes pantins ruiné me suppliait en vain, n'ayant plus pour payer mes charmes que le flot sans valeur des larmes. J'ai rallumé ma cigarette en lui disant l'air dédaigneux, on ne fait donc pas ainsi la paix, à prendre l'amour au sérieux. Et lui jetant une poupée de ma fumée sans m'émouvoir, j'ai ri et me suis détourné. Sans pitié pour son désespoir. Mais toi, fumée, qui monte là-haut, répand un baume mon cerveau, et pendant les heures moroses, apporte-moi l'oubli de choses. Enivre-moi ma cigarette et donne-moi l'air dédaigneux. Je ferai tes froide et muette en écoutant de doux aveux. Dans mon âme désenchantée, une rose ne doit fleurir, tout s'évanouit dans la fumée. Désir, amour et
How evocative is that? wonderful, wonderful, beautiful singing, great atmosphere, and that record will certainly get relegated to the return to pile. We're sort of going a bit intercontinental today, sampling a few records with exotic titles, and that's the name of the game. Now, I just realised that I didn't have the cue kicked in on the input channel, so if anyone wants to come up, you're more than welcome. We are right and set. But no ob. We just meander along here. There's no particular formula. If you want to come up, you're welcome. And for those who are unaware of the input frequency, just look up my call sign and you'll notice that I've got a blog page, vk3sl.blogspot.com, and there's an email attached to that. And if you email me, I'll let you know. I'll let you know what the input is. Just a little bit selective, although you'll find it if you surf around enough. All right, another record is the Albert Sandler and his orchestra, sort of middle-of-the-road light music. But here is his arrangement of Zigeunerweisen. Forward to having a listen to this. It's a work I usually associate with Pablo Sarasate and his amazing violin virtuoso piece, which we probably should do emissions on one day because it is so out there and there are many different interpretations. But here is Mr. Sandler's take on the work, at least the middle movement, which is also entitled Gypsy Moon. I'm vk3sl, and we are ready. Oh, it's a slow start. There's a bit of slippage in these turntables, but I think we're right. There we go, Albert Sandler and his take on Zigeunerweisen, Gypsy Moon. That's on old Columbia 78. Now, I found a stack of rare labels. I must have categorised this a long time ago, because I can't remember doing it, but there's all sorts of weird and wonderful things here. Amongst them is a durium record. These are cardboard records. You can hear me do a Wolf Harris wobble. No, Wolf Harris is non-PC. A wobble. And it's a durium disc. They're cardboard records with a very light substrate. And I can tell you about them. It says Durium was a short-lived record label in the United Kingdom run by Durium Products in the 30s. It says its presses were located in Slough. Well, I've got to play this if it comes from Slough. Its products and marketing were derived from the American record company Durium Products, producers of Hit of the Week record label. Anyhow, Durium Products sold its single-sided paper gramophone records from around 1930 to 1933. So, yeah, and they're exported as well. And it just using the fast-setting new material durium, the label's production costs were much lower than for shellac discs at the time. There we go. Well, that's interesting. I've never really seen these much before. I've heard of them. Don't see them much in Australia. So I reckon it deserves a play. It sort of fits that Palm Court character. We're sort of moving into a very luxuriant state. And this one is called The Count of Luxembourg. 2 parts. And doesn't say much else about. It just says manufactured by Durium Products, Slough, England. It's brown paper, cardboard. And Mr. Paul Abel is conducting the Durium Orchestra. They could be anybody. Who knows? Well, we'll slap it onto the platter, if it'll settle down. There we go. And I think it's right. vk3sl. Bravo! That was the Count of Luxembourg, a recording made by the Durium Orchestra on a cardboard Durium record. They are rare as hen's teeth. You don't see them around. In fact, this is about the only one I've ever seen. I've seen pictures of them. I'm pleased to have one in the collection here. The music of Franz Lehar. And actually sounded pretty good. Not bad at all. That's impressive. Yeah, very, very flexible. So we might have to look out for more Durium records. There's a shelf full of unusual labels here. And I must have put it together a while ago. All sorts of things. I'm just pulling them out now. Venus record. I had no idea about Venus records. Manufactured in England. It says most of them are pre-First World War. They're ancient. Colosseum record. Oh, there we go. Probably the content's crap, but the labels are very colourful. Here is the Twin. The Twin disc. Oh, that was a... the Twin was a Zonophone. It was a cheap yeah, and it's a double-sided record. Oh, that's exciting. The Twins Grand Orchestra. Maybe it's before Zonophone. Can't remember. An Ariel Grand. Oh, there we go. Ariel Grand, another obscure early label. Some of them are sort of funny sizes too. Probably funny speeds. Some of these early discs are probably not 78. Another Twin. Oh, a banjo player. Oh, I might put that one aside. Let's have a listen to... Oh, we can have a listen to this. The Canary, played by Stroud Haxton. Now, he was an interesting fiddle player. Wasn't he the guy on the Titanic? No, it wasn't. There was some connection. Stroud Haxton. Oh, I've got to hear this. I've got to hear it. It's early. It's really early. Well, let's put it on the platter and see what happens. Oh, wow. No idea. We had this here. Stroud Haxton. I'll look him up. vk3sl. Testing. How's that? What spirited playing. Mr. Stroud Haxton. That's a very interesting record. I'm quite intrigued by this artist. Well, I do have a bit of biographical information, I can tell you. He was born on 6th of January 1884 and died in 1931. English fiddle player, and says he seems not to have been intended for a career in music, and the 1901 census shows his occupation as a general clerk. But by 1911 he was described as a violinist. In around 1913 he formed a dance orchestra at the 400 Club in Old Bond Street. Oh, I would have liked to.
Good evening.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, very well. Just been out taking some photos of the sunset clouds. So.
Oh, magnificent. Yeah, I should go out and have a look. Yeah, very good. I'm just recording this interesting story about a fiddle player. I've just found a shelf.
He was a clerk until just a few years before.
Yeah, he was. And then this is the interesting part. He says he formed a dance orchestra for a bit and gave Jack Hilton his first break and all that stuff. But then he says he spent several years during the teens in America, and while there he became president of the Trigo Motors Corporation, which manufactured engines. And I think that's the last we know of him.
Wow. It's a fairly varied career, isn't it?
It certainly is. It's fantastic. I love sort of stories like that, of sort of people who suddenly had a flash of fame and happened to be captured on record and then went on and did normal things. And that's great. There we go. It's Mr.
How did H's celebrations go last night?
Oh, it was good. It was really good. Yeah, we had a great time. Yeah, it was all go. Yeah, that was actually a big event for us all. So, yep, had the fire, lots of music, and quite a lot of the kids formed a band and played some songs, and it was all good until a blackout. So,
oh, okay, you lost power, did you?
yeah, we did last night. It was all suddenly everything went off, and for quite a few hours. So, yeah.
So music, instruments, gramophones, and candles.
Yeah, that's it. It was actually quite atmospheric for a bit.
How many instruments did you have in the band?
Oh, kids were singing. Livy was playing guitar. Henry was playing bass guitar. The girls were singing. They were just doing some stuff from a musical, and they were having a bit of a bash.
Is any of your children not musical?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Will doesn't play a lot of music, and Celia sings. But look, I don't know. Yeah, look, stuff happens. I'm not pushing music onto anyone because that's the sure way to turn them off. They've all discovered it on their own accord. But I'm delighted to say Olivia's come back to the cello. I taught her for quite a few years when she was very young, and she got to quite a high standard. And then it was the classic situation of, tacit expectations and the pressures. So I withdrew very quickly and said, "It's no pressure. That's it. Don't have to play."
Yeah.
And
very wise.
yeah, it was important. Now in her mid-teens, she's sort of come back to it, and she's asked to have lessons again. So we're sort of working together, and it's been nice to hear her
that's good.
work on her own level. So yeah, she'll just do it as a recreation.
It's a terrific environment for them in a musical sense.
Yeah, well, we sort of value that a lot. We value live music, and Kate sings and practices every day. She sings Schubert's Lieder every day.
Oh, wow.
And accompanies herself, and so she's into that, and she's practicing flute a lot at the moment. She's sort of lucky that her work at this time, at the lockdown time, she's able to she gets up really early, gets up at about 6, and then does a few hours of work, and then she's pretty clear for the rest of the day. So that's enabled her to do stuff that she wants to do. So yeah, she's really into it. She's she's really got her flute playing going again.
It sounded lovely that you played on the missions when I recorded.
Yeah. She's doing heaps of tone work. I think she's inspired because Henry's practicing all day. So it's like being at the con. If you go into the house, it's just at different ends of the house. There's a lot happening. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Anyhow, look, it's
Have
good.
you changed all the names of your rooms to rehearsal room
Yes,
number 1 and
that's
2,
right.
etc.?
We should have put a caution and on-air sign above the doorway.
That's it.
And silencio bitter.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Anyhow, look, stuff happens. I'd have no expectations from anybody, and if people want to enjoy playing music, well, it's something they can do at their own discretion, I suppose. Yeah, so it's all a bit of fun. But last night was great. Yeah, we all had a bit of a bash. And, we played Kate and Henry played a whole movement from that very same Brahms symphony I played last night. They played the first movement. It's magnificent work. It's just such great music. That Passacaglia at the end is just larger than life. It's amazing. And it's a homage to Bach. He actually, that's based on one of the Bach cantatas. I didn't realise that until I read a bit about the work.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so anyhow, all good. So I'm going to a pile of really interesting discs here. This is a shelf I completely forgotten about, and they're all really early, like records from the very early days of the century, unusual labels that went defunct around the time of the First World War. And there's all sorts of weird things here. Here's an Invicta record. There's an Aerial Grand. There's the twin double-sided. And there's, what's this one here? A Phoenix record. The big picture of a
an
Phoenix.
aerial gram, so that's very,
Aerial Grand.
That should be very, mission.
Yes, it should be. Another Phoenix record. And what's this one here? A Guardsman. Very British. Guardsman. They're probably crap. I don't know if the material's that exciting.
A lot of my early records that I got at the auction rooms were Regal Zonophone.
Oh, yes. Yes, well, that was an established brand, and it was a subsidiary of Columbia, I think, Regal Zonophone. And Regal was a part of Columbia, and then the Zonophone were, I think, associated with EM or with HMV, and the two companies, they combined in 1931, and EMI was formed, and Regal Zonophone became a product of that amalgamation.
All right.
Here's a Klinsor, Klingso, a Klinsor record. Whoa. And made in Waren, Leipzig. Whoa, and this is early. This goes back to the early days of the century.
Leipzig, so that's east.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. Polyphon military bands. Probably got some association with that record I played the other day, that Polyphon record. And it's got a stamped order on it. Look at this. They're beautiful labels, beautiful artwork. They really sort of, they did that well. And here's a Scala record. This might be a subsidiary of Phonotypia. These are interesting. What else? Lyceum disc. You don't see Lyceum records anymore. Here's the Warbler Serenade, played by the Band of the Guard Republican.
You should actually just do a photographic essay of all the different labels and put them up for just posterity that people can appreciate how many there were.
Yeah, that's it. There's so many. This one was recorded in London, reproduced in Berlin, it says on the label. Here's a John Bull record. John Bull. Very English. And pressed abroad, it says, in small print at the bottom. And, wow, Adrian Marsh, the John Bull London Orchestra, it says.
I used to have John Bull rolled oats for breakfast.
Yes, that's right, John Bull.
I was just about to say, was he conducting with a bag of oats? Or?
Yeah, maybe. So here we go. The other side's cool. It says the Gay Hussar. Of course, gay meant something completely different in 1910. But the John Bull... I've got to play this, fellas. I think we'll have to... Shall we have a listen to this? The Gay Hussar, played by the John Bull London Orchestra in about 1908 or something.
Absolutely.
Let's put it on the platter and give it a spin. vk3sl, standing on by. There you go. There's some Edwardian kitsch if I've ever heard some. And, a John Bull record from the very early days.
It was very March-esque, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Very military.
Yes, very regal. And but they were going for it, weren't they? I thought it was a really spirited performance. I thought it was great. Yeah, so that's the sort of potboiler-ish material that people were listening to back in the early days. So interesting to look through this pile. Here, I'm quite intrigued by this Warbler Serenade played by the Band of the Guard Republicaine. Now, someone can help me with the pronunciation of this. It's R-E-P-U-P, Republic, A-I-N-E, Republicaine. Is that right?
Republican.
Yeah, that sounds it. Well, it's a Lyceum record. Now, I have a feeling Lyceums were a sort of a subset of Phonotypia, or one of the higher end. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. I don't know much about this at all. But it's pretty rare. I've never seen one before, and it's very early, and it's in rather bad condition. Maybe I'll put it through the noise reduction. We'll see. Let's have a listen to the Warbler Serenade. I've just got to hear what this is. The other side is the Whistler and his dog.
Oh, you must hear that.
Oh, yeah. Well, put the Warbler Serenade on. Have a listen to that first. And this is pretty ancient, and it's pretty worn. So what I can do, because I've got the noise thing on, because I had it on for that Japanese record earlier. We'll stick the stylus in, and then we'll use this fader. I would love to have been the tuba player in that band. He got the Guernsey, I think. The poor piccolo player was set right back in the mix, and we just hear him. But, or her, maybe. Who can knows? Well, there we go. That was another Lyceum record. Lyceum. And, nostalgia from way, way back. And I think this disc would have to be at least 110 years old.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, all pre-First World War. these discs. It says recorded in London, reproduced in Berlin, because they used to have pressing plants in Berlin, and they used to send their masters there and press them. And The Whistler and His Dog is the other side, and I think we have to play that one too. So yeah, well, here we go. So yeah, we're sort of inhabiting a very nostalgic space today. Anyhow, right, into the groove, and let's have a listen. Oh, well, there we go. The Whistler and His Dog. And that was off a Lyceum record from the very early days, featuring the Band of the Garde Républicaine.
Very Looney Tunes-esque, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right, it is. There's a certain ambience to that flute. I can almost hear some... it must have been some sort of horn resonance or something that occurred on some notes, a standing wave or something like that. It seemed to almost have a 3D effect in my cans here, but maybe it's just an artifact. I don't know. That was interesting. It's nice to discover new things. I found, look, another big pile here of little fairy records. These were made by Vocalion in the very early 20s. Oh, I think they stopped making them about 1926, 27. They're pretty early, but some kids' collection here. And they're tiny little records. They're smaller than standard 45s. They're really little, and they must have been played on a toy gramophone, I think. And, they're quite charming. And some of them say electrically recorded, so they probably come up okay. So I'll put one on. This one says Memories of England. One Step, played by a dance band. The Fairy record. And apparently, I did read up about these. They were made by Vocalion. And they're apparently very rare, but they turn up a lot in Australia. So I think a lot of Vocalion material was from England was sort of sold on or dumped here in Australia. So yeah, we'll have a listen to this. Memories of England. It's a tiny little record. It's something quite special about a very small record on a big turntable. Okay, in the groove. Let's see. Well, there we go. That actually had a bit of a tango reference there.
Little skip in it, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it did have a skip, a bit of syncopatione. And yeah, that says One Step, Memories of England. There we go. That's on a little Vocadian fairy record. And there's a whole lot here. There's lots of nursery rhymes, but maybe I should put one on because they're probably a bit non-PC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because fairy tales have all been so sanitised now. I remember I got a book of the original Grimm, or a reproduction of it, a reissue of the original Grimm fairy tales, and I like reading the kids the really horrible stories, as long as you do it in a way that they're not feeling threatened. And I think it's sort of better that way than the super sanitised
I
fairy
used to love
stories.
them myself when I could first read.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, they're wonderful stories. Well, here we have Little Red Riding Hood. I have no idea who's telling the story. It's an acoustic record. It goes back to about 1920s, about 100 years old. And, yeah, well, here it's two sides, but they're very short sides. And let's hope it's just a little bit non-PC. Here we go. Into the groove.
On the edge of a great forest, there lived a woodman and his wife, who had a sweet little daughter. Her mother made her a crimson cloak with a hood to it, so the neighbors called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother gave her a basket of eggs, fruit, butter, and cake to take to her grandmother, who lived in the center of the wood. Little Red Riding Hood set out and stopped on the way to gather some flowers, when a great wolf came up to her side. "Where are you off to, my dear?" said the wolf. "I'm taking these lovely things to Grandma," said she. "She lives all by herself in the little cottage in the center of the wood." "Oh, does she?" said the wolf, looking slyly at her. "Well, goodbye, my little girl." And off he ran and went quickly to the grandmother's cottage. Pulling down the latch, he bounded upstairs, gobbled up the poor old lady in 1 minute. He then put on her nightgown and cap and got into her bed. When Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage, he knocked, and the wolf squeaked, "Who is there?" "Little Red Riding Hood, Granny, with a present for you." "Pull the string of the latch and come up," said the wolf. So she went in, and going over to the bed, gave her message. "Put the basket on the table and come and sit beside me," said the wolf. She obeyed at once, but looking in surprise at her grandmother, said, "What large ears you have, Granny. All the better to hear you with, my dear," growled the wolf. "And what great eyes you have, Grandmama. All the better to see you with, my dear. And what a large nose you have. All the better to smell you with, my dear. But, oh, Grandmother, what a very large mouth and great teeth you have," sighed the little girl, feeling very, very frightened, for she was sure by now that it was not her granny. "All the better to eat you with, my dear," snapped the wolf, and sprang to do so. But Little Red Riding Hood screamed aloud, and Hugh, the woodman, rushing in, struck the wolf on the head with his axe, killing him at once, and taking the poor frightened little girl in his arms, he carried her home. Oh, how glad her mother and father were to see her again. They could not thank Hugh enough, and he and the father went into the woods and killed all the wolves they could find. All the wolves are killed now, and no little girl in England need be afraid of meeting a wolf, as did Little Red Riding Hood.
There you go. Just kill off all the wolves. That's all you need to do.
They get a very bad press, wolves, don't they?
They certainly do, and so do sharks, actually. Poor sharks.
Do.
Yeah, they just do what they do, really. Yeah. Oh, well, I thought that was okay. He rolled his R's well, didn't he?
Very well.
He had a roll, a ready way of speaking. But, yeah.
That was a thing in the 20s and before, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. You hear it a lot in singers in that
A
time.
lot of it in singing, yeah.
It was a real...
Even Peter Dawson used to do it.
Yes, it's a real declamatory exposition, wasn't it? It was a real sort of... Yeah, so tomorrow night I'll get in touch with Mr. J. Unfortunately, we can't do face-to-face because we can't, unfortunately. We're not allowed to, are we?
Indeed, we're not.
So we'll see if we can do a Zoom-o-matic maybe instead, or if Jamie wants to suspend things for another week or so, we can certainly look ahead and do something sooner. Yeah, when the veil lifts. So yeah, we'll get in touch and find out what the go is there. So yep. Well, I suppose I better go inside and make myself known and see what's happening in the dinner front. I usually like to at least make some sort of presence. And we can follow on with an episode of our space program. Let's have a listen to... Here we go, if I can find it here. We've got it here. Yes, old-time radio serial Journey into Space. Apparently it was made in the late 50s. Sort of sounds more modern than that, but I think it's just been cleaned up well. And it's British fare. And I think we're up to episode 6. There's 13 in this series about the Operation Luna. So, yeah, we'll have a listen.
Excellent.
Yeah, so thanks, Frank, and thanks, Frank OP as well, and thanks, Wayne, and any other listeners who have... been listening in. We seem to have still have operations despite the hurricane last night. And speaking of hurricanes, we'll finish up with our Operation Hurricane, our John Addison score, which I think just really does it for the nuclear blast. I just love the way he does the countdown. It's just the most wondrous orchestral score. So we'll finish with that after we've had our radio episode, our Journey into Space. So thanks, fellas. All the best, and we'll stand on by tomorrow. We should be back again at the same time, all being well. And, yeah, definitely late night missions as well.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Frank.
Cheers, Frank. vk3sl, vk3op, vk3jr, clear.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. All the best. And, let's have a listen.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. And we'll see you soon. Let's have a listen to Journey into Space. If things wake up.
Journey into Space. The BBC presents Jet Morgan in Operation Luna. After being stranded on the moon for 14 Earth days due to a power failure, the rocket ship Luna was at last ready to make her return journey back to Earth. Then a strange object which looked like another spaceship was seen on the televiewer screen, and Jet Morgan and Mitch went out to investigate it. Mitch entered the craft and, according to him, left almost immediately when he felt the ship begin to vibrate. But when he returned to his own ship, Mitch found that he'd been in the strange spacecraft for longer than he thought, and that during that time his voice had been heard explaining that the spaceship was actually from another part of the universe and had reached our solar system by traveling through time. The rocket ship Luna took off, but before setting her nose towards the Earth and home, went into a circular orbit round the moon so that the far side could be photographed.
Hey, Jet, come over here. Look at this.
What?
Directly below us now. Biggest crater I've ever seen. It's about twice the size of Copernicus.
Yes, I can see it.
It's crammed full of little craters, tiny ones, in regular lines.
Yes, there's a tendency for craters on the Earth side to form lines of a sort, but not like these. These just can't be natural.
I'll say they can't. Those craters are moving. Yes, they're leaving the ground.
They're not craters at all, they're ships. Just like the one that landed near us.
Dozens of them.
And they're coming up here. They're coming up after us.
Good heavens, I think they are, too.
Isn't there something we can do to get away from them? Turn on the motor or something?
Not while we're on this side of the moon. Not until our nose is pointing towards the Earth again.
Blimey. Well, they're keeping their distance at the moment anyway.
Look at them weaving about like aircraft.
Yeah, except there's no air for them to fly in. How can they do it?
Well, search me. And I'd give 5 years of my life to know.
Keep working that camera, Doc. Get as many pictures as you can.
You bet.
They're going to get the surprise of their lives back home. A whole fleet of spaceships based on the other side of the moon.
Hey, they're getting into some kind of formation.
Yeah, now why should they do that?
Maybe they're going to attack us.
If they are, there's nothing we can do about it. We've no weapons, nothing. We can't even take evasive action.
We better call up control and tell them about this.
Use your loaf, Mitch. It'd be a waste of time. We can't be heard with the moon between the Earth and us. No, still directly below us. Same height, same speed. And in a circular formation, like a ring of toadstools.
How long have they been following us now?
About 50 minutes, but we've nearly completed the circuit. Stand by to cut in the motor. With luck, we'll get away from them.
Okay.
Now get onto your bunks and strap yourselves in.
Okay.
Wonder how our friends below will react when they see us make a beeline for Earth.
We'll soon find out. Let me know when you're all set.
All set. Okay.
Okay.
Then cut in the stern teleview, Emmy, and switch in forward view.
Televiewer, forward view, on.
There it is. There's the Earth. Almost directly ahead.
And very welcome she looks, too.
Position, Lemmy.
Coming into center, 5 degrees.
Doc, stabilizer.
Stabilizer. 4 degrees.
Mitch, motor.
Standing by.
3 degrees.
Stand by for firing.
2.
Firing imminent.
1.
Contact.
Speed 3,300. 350. 360. 370. 380. $5,200, 300, 400, 500, 600.
Cut the motor.
Earth, now dead center.
Course correct. Cut the stabilizer, Doc.
Stabilizer cut. Well, that's that. On course, correct velocity, and we're heading for home.
Unfasten your safety straps. Get back to your stations.
And we'll see just what our escort made of that little maneuver.
Stern televiewer on. Are they still there, Mitch?
Can't see them.
Good. We must have left them miles behind.
Wait a minute. I can see them. There. Those tiny black dots against the bright moon surface.
Yes. Yes, still in that strange formation.
Mitch, you haven't checked the motor or the fuel supply.
Sorry, Jet. I'll do it right away.
Now, Doc, where are they?
There. See them?
Yes. Say, wait a minute. They're not below us anymore. They're flying at the same height as we are.
Yes. Yes, I think they are.
How do you account for that?
They must be following us. Hello, Earth. Rocket ship Luna calling home. Over.
And they're gaining on us, too. They're getting bigger every second.
Motor and fuel tanks okay. Plenty of reserve fuel left. Oodles of it.
Mitch, those ships, whatever they are, they're following us now and gaining on us.
What?
Well, look at them. They're getting closer all the time.
Hello, Earth. Rocket ship Luna calling control. Calling control. Come in, please.
Yes, they're following us all right. What are they up to? What's the idea?
Well, maybe they're just curious, want to take a closer look at us.
Either that or they are planning an attack.
Demi, have you got control yet?
No, give us a chance. Hello, Earth. Rocket
What
ship
good will
Luna
contacting
calling
base do?
control.
For us,
Come in,
probably
please.
very little.
Hello,
But at least
Earth.
we ought to tell Earth to
Rocket
warn
ship
them.
Luna
Let future
calling
crews know what to
control.
expect out here.
Come in,
Hey,
please.
listen.
Huh?
Well, can't you hear it?
Jet, that noise. It's here again.
Yes.
Jet, can't you hear it?
Yes, Lemmy, I can, but get control for heaven's sake.
I can't. It's that blinking music. Hello. Hello, Earth. This is rocket ship Luna calling control.
It's getting louder.
They're still coming, getting closer.
That's why it gets louder. That noise must come from them.
Hello, Earth. Hello.
Good grief.
What is it, Doc?
They must be going to ram us. The whole lot of them.
What?
Yes, they must be. They haven't changed their line of flight one iota. They're coming straight at us.
But they wouldn't dare. They'd do as much harm to themselves as they would to us.
Even if they're remote controlled.
Ah, that is a point.
Well, they're getting pretty close.
Jet,
Huh?
do you feel anything?
Feel anything? What?
Gravity's returning to the ship.
Oh, it's impossible.
It is, I tell you.
They're almost on us.
Control. This is Luna. Come in, please. Emergency.
I can feel the gravity pull.
So can I.
It's-
Now.
It's beginning to get difficult to stand up.
Jet, what's happening?
The ships, they're here. They must be all around us.
Get onto your bunks. Lie flat. Lie flat.
I can't. I can't make it.
Lie where you are on the floor.
Hello, Earth. Hello.
Jerry, get down. Everybody, lie down.
Something. Jeepers, what is going on?
The televiewer. There's a ship right up close behind us. It fills the whole screen. It...
What happened? Doc. Mitch, Lemmy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Jet.
What happened to us, Mitch?
I don't know.
Oh, how do you feel?
Oh, crook. Real crook.
Yeah, me too, but the pressure seems to have gone now. I blacked out.
Yeah, so did I think.
Doc, Lemmy, you all right? Lemmy, can you hear me?
They're out, Jet. Flat out. Unconscious. Hey, can you get up?
I think so. Oh, there.
Oh.
Lemmy's waking up. Lemmy,
Oh.
are you all right? Are you hurt?
Oh, Jet, leave me alone. Oh, I feel shocking.
We all do. The ship must have accelerated. I don't know how, but that's all I can think of.
Jet, Doc's coming round. How you feeling, Doc?
Doc, you all right?
Look, we better get him onto his bunk. Help me lift him.
Oh, I feel like I don't care if I die.
Get onto your bunk too, Lemmy. Don't lie there on the floor.
Yes, Jet.
If you're feeling up to it, Lemmy, you might give us a hand with Doc.
Yes, Mitch. Hold on. I'm coming.
Just stay put until you feel better.
Thanks.
You feeling better, Lemmy?
Yes, a bit.
Then stay with him. As soon as you can, try to raise control.
Right.
Come on, Mitch. See if we can find out what happened to us. We'll take a look at the televiewer first. See if those things are still out there.
It's truth. What's the matter with it? It's gone crazy. The tube must have gone.
No, Mitch, I don't think it's that.
Then what is it? Why don't we get a clear picture? Why doesn't it keep still?
It is a clear picture.
Huh?
Those points of light traveling from the top of the frame to the bottom are stars.
Stars?
Yes, Mitch. The ship is spinning, turning head over heels. If it wasn't for the stars flashing past us on the screen, we'd never have known.
But how did that happen? What set her off?
I don't know. But we've got to steady her, get her back onto an even keel. We'll never find our position or anything else unless we do.
We can use the flywheels as counteraction.
Yes, but they're so small it'll take a long time before we're steady again.
What do we care, so long as we can stop her turning over like this?
Well, put in number 1 for a start.
Yes, all right, yeah.
Then switch her on.
Number 1. We're still turning, but she should settle down soon.
I think we might start taking a look at things now. Rotate the teleview camera, Mitch, and see if those ships are still following us.
Certainly not on the port side or directly behind us.
Try the starboard side.
I'm turning.
No. Well, either they've gone or they must be directly in front of us.
I'll switch on the forward view.
No, we better take a fix on the moon. Check our course.
Yeah. No, wait a minute.
Eh?
Did you see the moon just now?
No, I didn't, but we've been turning over, Mitch. Heaven knows which way the ship is pointing now. The moon might be forward, too.
In that case, the Earth must be behind us, and we should see that.
Rotate the camera, Mitch. Let's look again. You're darn right. There's no sign of it. Either the Earth or the moon.
Hello. Hello, Earth. Rocket ship Luna calling. Luna calling control. Come in, please.
Stars. Nothing but stars.
Keep her turning, Mitch. They must be there. The Earth and moon can't both disappear. Just like that.
Hello. Hello. Luna calling Earth. Rocket ship Luna calling Wongawalla. Come in, please. Come in.
It's no good, Jet. They're not there.
Oh, there must be an explanation. I know. Somehow or other, we must have got back to the far side of the moon, with our stern pointing away from it. If we switch on the forward view, we'll see the moon all right, and the Earth behind it.
Hello. Hello. Are you receiving us? Wongawalla, come in, please. We need your help.
Well, there's the forward view. Not a sign.
Rotate the thing, Mitch. They can't be in line with the camera.
Hey, Jet.
What is it, Lemmy?
I can't raise a sausage. Absolutely nothing. Not on any band.
You sure the set's working all right?
As far as I can tell, but I can't pick up a thing, not on any frequency. It's like every transmitter back on Earth is packed in.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. You must be able to get something. Keep trying.
Well, if you say so.
Any sign yet, Mitch?
No, and I've gone almost right round. There you are. A full turn. Nothing.
Oh, but this is fantastic. We couldn't possibly miss objects the size of the Earth and the moon. The moon's image alone should more than fill the whole screen. We can't be that far away from it.
We've got to face it, Jet. If they're there, we can't pick them up. If they're there.
Something must be wrong with the televiewer.
Then why did we see the stars?
It's no good, Jet. I can't raise a thing. Not a single living soul.
Jet,
Yes, Doc?
what's the trouble?
No, we don't know. Lemmy says the radio's working, but he can't pick up anybody. To all appearances, the televiewer's working, but we can't pick up the moon or the Earth. And we've searched every possible direction. We see nothing but stars.
No sign of the ships?
No, not a sign.
Well, that's something. But we must be way off course.
Oh, that's putting it mildly. We'd have to be thousands of miles off course for this to happen. The televiewer must have gone wrong.
Well, there's only one way to be sure of that. Go out there and look with our own eyes.
That's all we can do.
Then let's get our suits on and go. This has got to be solved, and quick. We've got no time to waste.
Look, I'll work the airlock for you.
Not if you don't feel up to it, Doc.
No.
Lemmy can do it.
No, I'll do it. It's more important that he stays with the radio.
Oh, very well. Give us a couple of minutes to get the suits on.
Hello, hello. Rocket ship Luna calling. Rocket ship Luna calling control. Wonga Walla, Australia.
Okay, Doc. Close the hatch.
Hatch closing.
Now fastening helmet. Over to intercom. Helmet fastened. Mind you.
Somebody please come in, wherever you are.
All right, exhaust the airlock.
Exhausting airlock.
I don't care if you don't speak English.
Suit inflating. Suit inflating.
Air pressure 0.
Okay, Doc. Open the door.
Main door, contact.
Now leaving ship.
Check.
Fastening safety line. Now walking up side of ship.
Now fastening safety line. Walking up side of ship, behind Jet.
Can you see the Earth or the moon?
Not yet. Haven't got high enough to get a good view, but I'm nearly there. Now.
Well?
Not a sign. Can you see them, Mitch?
No, Jet. They're not there.
Then they must be underneath the ship. You can't see them because the ship's in the way.
No, Doc. Not a hope, I'm afraid.
Well, then what's the explanation?
I don't know. It's almost as though we'd left the entire solar system altogether. Left it behind and got completely out of sight of it in a few minutes, but that's just not possible.
I'm not so sure that it isn't.
How do you mean, Mitch?
Jet, look at the stars. Line them up with a part of the ship.
Well?
Don't you see? They're slowly, very slowly moving past.
What?
Try it for yourself. Go on, try it.
Yes, they are. Very, very slowly, but they're moving.
We must be traveling at a tremendous speed, a fantastic speed. That's why there's no sign of the Earth or Moon. We left them way behind.
I can't believe it. It's too incredible to grasp. Well, let's get back into the ship, Mitch. This whole thing might be a hallucination.
Hallucination? Look, there. See that? A yellow star. Near enough to show up as a disk. Did you see anything like that on the way out from Earth?
We couldn't expect to. We can't get anywhere near that close to a star, even the nearest star.
Can't we? Well, that darn thing's close enough, isn't it?
Good heavens, the sun!
The sun?
Of course! And we're travelling away from it. That's why Lemmy can't pick up anything on the radio. We're out of range.
Take it easy, Chet. It might not be the sun. We don't know.
Hello, Doc?
Yes.
We're coming back into the ship.
It must be a dream. All a dream. We'll wake up soon. We've got to.
And that's the position. There's no sign of the moon, the Earth, the sun, Mars, no sign of the solar system at all.
But unless we find it and get back to it, we're done for. One of those stars out there must be the sun.
And how do we find out which?
Well, by the constellations. Yes, that's it. If we could recognise a few star groups, we might deduce our position from them, and that would give
not
us...
a hope, Lemmy. Look at the screen. Look at the stars drifting by. Thousands of them. Can you pick any given constellation out of that lot?
Well, I can't, no, but I'm only the radio operator.
I'm afraid I can't either, Lemmy.
Huh?
We'll never do it that way.
And constellations as seen from here, right in among them, as it were, look very different from what they do on Earth. Virtually unrecognizable.
Look, even if we did get our bearings, how do we take the ship out of the course she's in now and put her in the right one?
With a motor and the gyros. Rotate the ship until the nose is pointing in the right direction, and then turn on the power.
Look, at the speed we're travelling, I don't think cutting in the motor would make any noticeable difference. Even if we used all the fuel in one burst.
What, you mean, we haven't a chance? No hope at all?
not of getting back home.
Not even to the moon? Oh, I didn't much like it, but it would be better than nothing. We could at least see the Earth from there.
Not even to the moon.
Well, how did this happen? What caused it? Less than an hour ago, we were quietly coasting above the moon's surface, minding our own business, and now look at the mess we're in.
Lemmy, none of us know how this happened. All we do know is that those ships had something to do with it. Somehow, they've managed to increase our speed, carry us faster and further than man has ever dreamed he could go.
Then where are those perishing ships? Why don't they show themselves? Where are they taking us?
We don't know that they're taking us anywhere.
Here. Wait a minute. They said they came from the other side of the universe, didn't they? Well, maybe that's where we're going.
Seems that in one go they swept us right out of our little solar system and smack into the middle of eternity.
Yeah, but where is eternity? We must be going somewhere.
Lemmy, the universe is vast. You know that. It's on the cards that we'll never land up anywhere.
Aye?
I mean it.
Ah, but that's impossible. Just take a look at those stars out there. Even if we just go drifting helplessly on, we're bound to meet up with one of them in the end.
Every one of those stars is 1,000,000 times bigger than this ship. They've been drifting out here in space for millions and millions of years. And in all that time, only an infinitesimal number, if that, have ever actually collided.
So what are our chances, Lemmy?
Millions of years, you say?
Yes.
How much oxygen we got?
Enough for little more than 4.5 days.
Silly, isn't it?
You could look at it that way.
But them ships or whatever they were, they told us through Mitch that there was thousands of planetary systems in the universe, all teeming with life.
There probably are.
Well, if we can leave our own in such a hurry, ain't it likely we're liable to meet up with another just as quick? Maybe the very one those ships come from themselves.
We might at that. We might do anything. We just don't know. All we do know is that we're somewhere out in space. Probably zooming through the Milky Way at a speed something approaching that of light.
But look, even if we did come across another solar system, what are the chances of its planets being suitable for us to land on? And, assuming they are, what are the chances of our being able to survive on them?
Well, not much.
Aye?
Well, why should there be? Take our own planetary system. Of the 9 known planets, not counting the asteroids, the only one, so far as we know, supporting any life is our Earth.
Well, what about the others?
Well, Mercury's so near the sun, the temperature is high enough to keep lead in a molten state. Could anything live in that?
Oh, I shouldn't think so.
Venus, whose surface no man has ever glimpsed, is so hot that even if her atmosphere contained enough oxygen, which it doesn't, life would be virtually impossible.
Oh.
Mars, with its thin atmosphere, may support some kind of plant life, but life in Jupiter, Saturn, or any of the other planets would be frozen solid. It just couldn't exist.
So what are our chances of finding just one planet in thousands, presumably millions, out here that could support life? Always supposing we're alive when we reach it.
Well, if you ask me, this trip has turned out to be a dead loss all round. But other planets in other planetary systems don't have to be like ours, do they?
No, they don't. They could be of many kinds.
What, for instance?
Well, some might well still be in a molten state, in the first stage of their development. Others could have long since gone right through their life cycle and now be dead, barren, lifeless, like the moon.
Yes. Some might well be enclosed in poisonous atmosphere.
Or others have no atmosphere at all.
Or be so large and their gravity pull so strong, we couldn't even stand up.
Some so small, we could jump 50 feet in the air at every step.
You know, others might be much like the Earth, but have no water, and there can't be any life without water.
Some might have their surfaces entirely covered in water, just as the Earth would be if all the land areas suddenly subsided and disappeared under the oceans.
A planet entirely covered with water.
It's not impossible, Mitch.
Well, anyway, there'd be no point in landing there. I can't swim.
On top of that, you must remember that we are equipped only for moon or Earth landings. Landing anywhere else might need a completely different approach, different methods, different kinds of equipment.
Not very encouraging, is it?
I'm afraid we've all got to face up to it. We're helpless. Absolutely helpless. No idea where we are, what direction we're traveling in, and even if we knew, powerless to exert any kind of control whatever over the ship.
I'd sit down and make me will, but there'd be nobody to read it.
vk3sl.
To think that our attempt to conquer such a small part of the universe should have resulted in this. An endless journey through eternity.
Yeah, this is what comes of meddling with things we don't understand. We should have stayed home, where life was worth living.
Well, there's no use in crying over it now. We have to do something, if only to keep our reason.
You're the captain of the ship, Jet. Anything you say.
Well, for a start, we'll carry out normal routine. Check the equipment, call up base on the radio.
What good will that do? According to you, there's no radio wave could leave Earth fast enough to catch us up.
There's no sense in sitting back and brooding over the position. The only things we can do are those we've been doing in connection with the ship's routine, and we'll carry on that way until we... Let me get to the radio.
Yes, Jet.
Mitch, check the motor, fuel gauges.
Yes, right, Jet.
I'll check the radar and keep televiewer watch for the next hour. Doc?
Yeah?
You'll keep a log, just as you did during the long wait on the moon.
Yeah, sure.
Get started. And let's have no more talk about solar systems, planets, or anything else unless it's going to help the situation.
November the 21st, 1965, Earth time. It is now more than 2 hours since we found ourselves in these new and frightening circumstances. How we got here, what really caused it, we shall probably never know. We are like a ship at sea, drifting. Only our chance of ever making land must be negligible. For we are adrift in space, maybe destined to wander around the universe forever, helplessly, hopelessly. A tiny speck of humanity, lost in a vast nothingness. Everybody goes about his normal duties as though we were coasting back to Earth from the moon. As indeed, but for this fantastic, stupendous trick of fate, we would be. Mitch periodically checks the motor, fuel tanks, oxygen supply, and air conditioner. Lemmy stays at the radio, trying and hoping to get some kind of contact with somebody, somewhere. Jet remains at the televiewer, transfixed, hoping that, in spite of everything, something will appear on it which will give us some hope. A straw to clutch.
Hey, Doc, Mitch, Lemmy, come over here, look.
What is it?
I think we're slowing down.
What makes you think so?
Well, the drift of stars across the screen has been getting slower.
What does that mean?
How should I know, but it must mean something.
Well, what's that? Right in the center.
Huh?
That little spot of light, almost a disc.
Where?
There, see it?
Yes, I can. Right smack in the middle. The ship's nose must be pointing straight at it.
It's not quite a disk. It's more like the moon when it's nearly full.
Wouldn't be the moon, would it?
If it was, we'd see the Earth, too.
Oh.
If it's shining by reflected light, the star, its sun, must be to the left of it.
Rotate the camera, Jet. See if you can find it.
There it is. There, see? Many times bigger. But it's the solid body we're heading for. We better concentrate on that.
Are we going to hit it?
I don't know. We're approaching it pretty fast. We must be.
I thought you said we'd slowed down.
Oh, we have, but only by comparison. Doc, get to the radar. As we get nearer to it, we might get some idea of our true speed.
Right.
Oh, look at it. Fills half the screen now.
And it has an atmosphere, no doubt about that.
Yeah, but what's it composed of? Methane? Ammonia? Or what? The chances of it being air are 1,000,000 to 1 against.
Still, it's a planet, an island, and a limitless ocean. And we're heading straight for it, at a speed at which we might be able to control the ship. It's a chance in 1,000,000, our only hope.
You mean you're going to attempt landing on it?
Well, why not? If we're going to die anyway, it might as well be on that, whatever it is, as out here in nothing.
But it's so far away from home.
No further than we'll ever be. This is our one chance of survival.
But we've no idea what's on it, who's on it. We might even be wrecked and end up as a sort of a space family Robinson.
What do you say, Mitch? Shall we try it?
Now, wait a minute, Jet. Think what you're doing.
We haven't much time to think. An hour or so, and we'll either have crashed into it or passed it by. It'll be too late to make any decision then.
I'm all for taking the chance. Let's try to land.
Doc?
Me too.
I suppose if I say I'm not, I'll be considered overruled?
Yes.
I'm overruled.
All right. The landing procedure will be the same as it would have been for landing on Earth.
With the aid of the atmosphere?
How else?
But it may not be dense enough to afford the necessary braking power.
That we'll find out, but we'll try it just the same. Open up the pilot's cabin, Doc. I'm going in.
You've been listening to episode 6 of Journey into Space with Andrew Folds as Jet Morgan, Alfie Bass as Lemmy, Guy Kingsley Pointer as Doc, and David Williams as Mitch. Other parts were played by David Jacobs. The orchestra was conducted by Van Phillips, who also composed the music. Journey into Space was written and produced for the BBC by Charles Chilton.
The Montebello bomb and all the equipment for this experiment were made in British workshops by British workmen. Accurate to 1/10,000th of an inch. That was the precision demanded and achieved, both for the bomb and for the instruments to measure its performance. At Fort Halstead, they made 2 high-speed cameras, taking pictures at the rate of 100,000 in 1 second. With these cameras, the scientists could reconstruct the pattern of the explosion in the first revealing fraction of a second. In concept and design, this camera was entirely British, and design became reality in the hands of fine craftsmen. At every stage, check and double check. Instruments too for testing the impact of the explosion, for measuring heat, blast and radiation, for gauging the instant shaft of gamma ray and the lingering poison of radioactivity. All these designed and produced at Halstead, Howell, and other atomic energy establishments. This electronic equipment will carry the circuit to actuate the firing mechanism in the bomb itself. Here, the designer's demands reach the peak of precision, an accuracy of 1/1,000,000th of a second. Nothing was left to chance, how the bomb would perform when the testing time came. Many minds and many hands were turned to the atomic weapon, but only half a dozen knew the whole secret of the bomb's design. They knew they were making a weapon of awe-inspiring power, but they would never see the finished product, never even know, perhaps, the ultimate function of the parts they handled with such care.
This is a test transmission from vk3sl.
Inside headquarters, the rest of the control party are waiting at their instruments. In the half-light of the control room, the safety link is delivered to the controller. The final process of firing can now be set in train.
Time bracket open. Fox George, this is How 1. Pass your message, over.
Hello, How 1, this is Fox George. Phase Saturn completed, over.
Understand, phase Saturn completed, out.
Right. You can put the safety key in now.
Safety link in. Circuit complete.
Can we have the all-ready signals, please? Mr. Abercrombie, please. Thank you. Minus 8.5 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Minus 4 minutes. Detector valves up.
That lethal cloud, rising above Montebello, marks the achievement of science and industry in the development of atomic power. Good or evil, for peace or war, for progress or destruction. The answer doesn't lie with Britain alone. But we may have a greater voice in this great decision if we have the strength to defend ourselves and to deter aggression. That was the meaning of Montebello.